Now, before we even get into the trolling tycoon, the meme mogul, the man who turned 9 bullet holes into a Netflix deal, I need to address something that just dropped across every timeline, every blog, every group chat you're in right now. And honestly, it might be the single most chaotic chapter we've covered in this entire saga. Because the headline says 50 Cent got robbed and beaten. And I know, half of you clicked on that and didn't even flinch. Because in the universe of Curtis Jackson, getting robbed and beaten is just a Tuesday. But what actually happened? What actually went down? That's a completely different story. Because the bulletproof businessman isn't bleeding on a sidewalk somewhere. No, he's sitting in a chair, scrolling Instagram, posting screenshots, deleting posts, and somehow, making an entire family in Atlanta lose sleep without recording a single bar of music. The documentary demon is operating on a level we haven't seen before. And if you thought the Diddy doc was the ceiling, you are not ready for what this man is cooking. So buckle up, leave a like right now, subscribe if you're not already locked in, and I need you to say it with me. Now, here's where it all falls apart. Yeah, you already know how this goes. And honestly, that might be an understatement this time, because it's not just falling apart for one person, it's falling apart for an entire household, an entire camp, and possibly an entire city's pride. So let's get into it. Here's what we're dealing with right now. You've got a failed Verzuz battle that turned into a public humiliation. You've got 4, count them, 4 diss tracks from the self-crowned king of the South, or whatever we're calling that title at this point. You've got 2 of his sons dropping records that go after a dead woman, a dead mother, like that's somehow a flex. You've got Rick Ross, the man who somehow inserts himself into every beef he's not invited to, co-signing from the peanut gallery. And alongside all of that, on top of all of this, you've got the bulletproof businessman sitting there, not responding with music, not panicking, not even sweating, just casually teasing that he might, but developing a documentary that would make the Diddy reckoning look like a children's bedtime story. Meanwhile, the rest of the industry is moving. Kendrick just had one of the most dominant years anyone's had in a decade. Drake is recalibrating. Metro Boomin is producing half the Billboard charts. And the trolling tycoon, he's turning personal feuds into 4-part streaming events. So yeah, this is really about to be something. Now, leave a like if you think Curtis Jackson has completely abandoned rap and is now operating purely as a content warlord who uses Instagram posts the way other people use diss tracks. Leave a like if you think King Harris, Little King, the crown prince of bad decisions, genuinely thought wearing a t-shirt of a dead woman was going to win him a rap beef against a man who survived 9 gunshots and then turned the hospital stay into a record deal. And leave a like if you believe, deep in your heart, that 50 Cent has a better chance of winning an Emmy than he does of ever stepping into a recording booth again. Because at this point, this man is closer to Shonda Rhimes than he is to Jay-Z. We are powered up. Let's break this down. So let me take you back, because if you don't understand the history, you will not understand why what's happening right now is so unprecedented. And I covered a lot of this in previous videos. Go back and watch the full Verzuz breakdown if you missed it. But here's the short version. It's early 2026. T.I., the retirement rapper, and yes, that's what I'm calling him because the man literally named his album Kill the King, which is the most dramatic way to say I'm done since Michael Jordan faxed a press release. T.I. goes on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast and tells the story. He says he and 50 Cent had agreed to do a Verzuz battle, a celebration of catalogs, 2 legends going bar for bar. He says he jumped out first, publicly announced it, and then 50 acted like he had no idea what was happening, left him hanging, in public, on a podcast, in front of millions. Now, I need you to understand something. In the world of hip-hop, that's not just an inconvenience. That's a violation. You told a man to jump, he jumped, and then you pretended you didn't know him. That is humiliation by design. And whether 50 Cent did it intentionally or not. And let's be real, this is the same man who posted a photo of J.A. Rule's hairline at a charity event. So nothing is accidental. The damage was done. T.I. felt played. And instead of sitting with that feeling, instead of processing it like a reasonable adult in his mid-40s, he went to the studio. And then he went to the studio again. And then he went to the studio 2 more times. 4 diss tracks. War. The right one. Lessons. What bully? For records aimed directly at the meme mogul. And I'll give T.I. this. Some of them had bars. Let Him Know was charting. Urban Radio was spinning it. DJ Academics was comparing this to Drake versus Kendrick. Which, I mean, Let's not get carried away, but it was getting traction. Have you lost it yet? Because here's where it starts to get actually insane. T.I. drops 4 diss tracks. 50 doesn't respond with music. He responds with memes. He responds with Instagram posts. He posts an unflattering photo of Tamika Tiny Harris and tells T.I. to keep his name out of his mouth. Now, is that macho? No. Is it classy? Absolutely not. Is it exactly what 50 Cent has done to every single enemy has ever had since 2003? Yes. This is the playbook. This has always been the playbook. The documentary demon does not fight you on your terms. He fights you on his terms. And his terms are, I will post something so disrespectful that you stop thinking strategically and start reacting emotionally. And that's exactly what happened. Because after that tiny post, the Harris household went nuclear. Not just T.I., the kids, King Harris, who I'm going to call the Crown Prince of Chaos, because this young man woke up one morning and decided that his contribution to a rap beef between 2 middle-aged millionaires was going to be wearing a t-shirt with the face of a woman who burned to death when her son was 8 years old. Let me say that again. 50 Cent's mother, Sabrina Jackson, died in a house fire. Curtis was 8 years old. That trauma shaped everything about who he became. And King Harris put her face on a shirt and wore it in a music video. And then Domani Harris, I'll call him the backup prince, dropped a track called Ms. Jackson, which literally opens with an Outkast sample and pens a letter to 50's dead mother. Are you seeing this? Because I need to make sure we're all on the same page about what just happened. 2 kids in their early to mid-20s decided that the appropriate escalation in a beef that started over a Verzuz miscommunication was to mock a woman who died in a fire. And then King Harris went even further. He dropped more records. He posted alleged paperwork claiming 50 Cent snitched on Jimmy Henchman. In hip-hop, that's not just a diss. That's an attempt to erase someone's entire cultural credibility. You call a man a snitch in this genre, you're not just insulting him, you're trying to exile him from the culture permanently. And Rick Ross, I show up to every beef like it's a potluck Russ, hopped in the comments and co-signed King Harris. Need that tea and a 3X bro. That's a grown man, a multimillionaire rapper, cheerleading a 20-something kid who's wearing a dead woman's face on his chest. I'll just leave that there. Now, here's where I need to get into what I've been saying for months, and my theories are getting more validated by the day, just like so many other people who are paying attention. Because what's happening right now isn't a rap beef. It hasn't been a rap beef since the second week. This is a content war. And in a content war, 50 Cent is undefeated. He's not just undefeated, he's the only person playing the game at this level. Let me explain, because this is clearly, and I mean clearly, the most important part of this entire story. 50 Cent in 2026 is not a rapper. I don't care what his Wikipedia page says. I don't care that he's teasing new music today on Instagram. This man is a television executive who used to rap. He is the CEO of G-Unit Film and Television. He executive produced Power, one of the most successful franchises in Star's history. He produced the Diddy documentary, The Reckoning, which pulled 21.8 million views in 6 days on Netflix. 6 days. That made it the second most watched title on the platform that week, behind only Stranger Things Season 5. 90% positive on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics called it meticulous and sober rather than sensational. And then, not even a month later, he announced gang wars with A&E. And then, not even a month after that, when the Epstein files dropped and Jay-Z's name appeared in an unverified FBI tip, not an investigation, not a charge, not even a corroborated claim, just a tip, 50 Cent was already teasing a Netflix documentary about it. This man sees headlines the way a shark sees blood in the water. Obviously, this is someone who has completely transcended the rap game. He doesn't need bars. He doesn't need beats. He needs footage. And he needs a story. And T.I. just handed him both. Now, if you're a T.I. fan, if you're still here, which, honestly, respect for the endurance, you're not going to want to be after this. But I just want to talk to you person to person for a second. I want to be real with you. I want to have an honest conversation about what your guy just did. Your guy had momentum. Let Him Know was charting. Kill the King was getting buzz. The retirement narrative was clean. Go out on top. Last album. Victory lap. That's the story. That's a beautiful story. And then your guy decided to escalate a beef with the one person in hip-hop who doesn't fight with music. He fights with cameras. He fights with production crews. He fights with Netflix deals. And now, instead of every interview being "tell us about the retirement album," every interview is going to be "what about the sexual assault allegations?" Every podcast appearance, every radio run, every press junket, someone is going to ask. Because 50 Cent made show of it. He posted a screenshot of a headline that read 50 Cent reportedly developing surviving T.I. and Tiny documentary. He captioned it, and I need you to hear these words carefully. Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy doc? That's not a diss track. That's a promise. And then he deleted it. He deleted it because he knows that in 2026, a deleted post gets more coverage than a permanent one. The screenshots were already everywhere. The blogs had already picked it up. The conversation had already shifted. And all it cost him was 30 seconds and an Instagram caption. So let me ask you something. And I mean this with all the love in the world. Actually, I'm lying. I'm not being sincere at all. But let me ask you anyway. Where is the self-respect in continuing to escalate with someone who has the power to put your family's darkest allegations on a streaming platform that reaches 200 million households? Where is the strategic thinking? Where is any of it? And that one line, remember how quiet I got before the Diddy doc? That might be the single most devastating thing anyone has said in a hip-hop beef in 2026. Not a bar, not a punchline, a reminder, a simple, terrifying reminder. Now let me lay out 3 theories about where this is actually going, because I think this is far from over, and there is an interesting theory that I think makes a lot of sense. Theory 1. 50 Cent is bluffing about the documentary entirely. This is the most likely scenario on paper. Here's the logic. The original source for the surviving T.I. and Tiny rumor was Tasha K. Let me say that again. Tasha K, the woman who lost a multi-million-dollar defamation suit to Cardi B. Not exactly the New York Times. She claimed she spoke to sources connected to 50's team, but there's no official confirmation from G-Unit Film, from Netflix, from A&E, from any network. As of March 2026, there is no verified production schedule, no network deal, no footage. 50 Cent might just be doing what he does best, using the threat of something to control a narrative without ever having to produce anything. The sheer possibility of a documentary is doing the work that an actual documentary would do. It's forcing T.I. to address allegations in every interview without 50 spending a dime. Likelihood, I'd say 60%. But here's why it's not 100. Theory 2. 50 Cent is actively developing the documentary but hasn't secured a deal yet. This is where the business side gets interesting. After the success of The Reckoning, 50 Cent has enormous leverage with streaming platforms. 21 million views in a week is the kind of number that makes executives take phone calls. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Peacock, any of them would listen to a pitch from 50 Cent right now. And the T.I. and Tiny allegations are not nothing. In January 2021, Sabrina Peterson publicly accused T.I. of holding a gun to her head. That opened the floodgates. Dozens of women came forward with stories alleging a system, VIP sections, hotel suites, drinks allegedly spiked with substances. Criminal investigations were opened in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. No charges were filed, largely because of statute of limitations issues, not because the investigations cleared them. From the business side, in terms of the label system and how content deals work, 50 Cent doesn't need a finished product to start leveraging this. He needs a sizzle reel, a handful of willing participants, and a pitch deck. And if he's been quietly reaching out to alleged victims while publicly beefing with T.I., that's the smartest thing he could possibly do. Use the public beef as a smokescreen for the real work happening behind the scenes. Do I think 50 Cent is that strategic? I think 50 Cent is one of the most strategically brilliant people in entertainment. So yes, likelihood, 30%. But if this is what's happening, the Harris family is in serious, serious trouble. Theory 3. 50 Cent responds with both music and a documentary announcement simultaneously. This is the nuclear option. And honestly, if he did this, I'd actually give him credit for staging the most devastating counteroffensive in beef history. Imagine this, and I need you to picture it. 50 Cent drops a diss track aimed at T.I., King Harris, Domani, Rick Ross, all of them. The same week he officially announces a documentary deal with a major streamer. The diss track gets the hip-hop audience. The documentary announcement gets the mainstream media. And suddenly, T.I. isn't just in a rap beef. He's in a cultural war on 2 fronts with a man who has the infrastructure, the relationships, and the financial backing to wage both simultaneously. The smartest thing 50 could do is exactly this. Drop a record produced by someone like Hit Boy or Boy 1DA, get it trending, and then in the same 48-hour window, announce the doc. Let the music handle the ego and the documentary handle the legacy destruction. Likelihood, 10%. But if it happens, it's over. Not the beef. T's entire public image. Now, here's where it all falls apart for the Harris family. Because let's zoom out and look at the broader landscape for a moment. The entertainment industry in 2026 is in a documentary gold rush. After the success of projects like The Reckoning, after the Epstein Files, after every major scandal getting the docuseries treatment, networks are hungry for this content. Surviving R. Kelly changed Lifetime's entire brand. The Diddy doc changed Netflix's true crime strategy. These aren't just shows, they're cultural events that generate months of press coverage, social media discourse, and subscriber growth. And 50 Cent, through G-Unit Film and Television, has positioned himself as the go-to producer for exactly this kind of content. He has a relationship with Netflix. He has a deal with A&E. He has the credibility of someone who just delivered a massive hit. From the business side, what 50 Cent has built is essentially a content pipeline fueled by personal grudges. Think about that. Most producers spend years developing relationships, pitching concepts, workshopping ideas. 50 Cent scrolls through his enemies list and picks the next target. That's not just genius, it's a fundamentally new model for how feuds work in hip-hop. You don't destroy your enemies with diss tracks anymore. You destroy them with 4-episode limited series on platforms that reach hundreds of millions of people globally. And that's why what T's sons did was so catastrophically miscalculated. By going after 50's dead mother, by posting alleged snitching paperwork, by escalating this beyond the usual rap beef territory, they didn't hurt 50 Cent. They gave him a narrative. They gave him a story. They gave him the one thing every documentary needs, a compelling reason to exist. They went after my mother is the kind of line that opens a trailer. It's the kind of moment that makes a Netflix executive greenlight a project in a single meeting. King Harris thought he was dropping bars. He was writing 50 Cent's pitch deck. Now here's where it gets even crazier, and I mentioned this earlier, but I need to come back to it. The allegations against T.I. and Tiny are not just internet rumors. Investigations were opened. Multiple women came forward. The cases didn't go to trial largely because of legal technicalities, not because of exoneration. And 50 Cent knows this. He knows that a documentary doesn't need criminal convictions to be devastating. The Diddy doc aired before any trial. It aired while allegations were still being investigated, and it pulled 21 million views. If 50 applies the same model to T.I. and Tiny, interviews with accusers, timeline reconstructions, expert analysis, maybe even footage or recordings that haven't been public, the damage wouldn't just be to T's music career. It would be to Tiny's career, to the family's brand, to King Harris's budding rap career, to everything the Harris name is attached to. And T.I. knows this. You could hear it in the TMZ interview when he said that's last week and tried to move on. He's trying to de-escalate. But his kids aren't. His kids are still posting, still recording, still escalating. And every single post, every single track, every single Instagram story is another piece of ammunition that 50 Cent can screenshot, archive, and potentially use as framing material for a project that may or may not exist. The man is playing chess while they are playing checkers. And honestly, I don't even think it's chess at this point. I think 50 Cent is playing a game that doesn't have a name yet. A game where you use social media provocation to bait your enemies into escalating a feud so aggressively that it creates enough public interest to justify a documentary that will destroy them permanently. That's not chess. That's psychological warfare with a streaming deal attached. So let's bring this all the way home. Did 50 Cent get robbed and beaten? In the physical sense? No. There is no verified report of any physical attack on Curtis Jackson in connection to any of this. But in the cultural sense, in the hip-hop sense, he took hits. He took real hits. For diss tracks from T.I., records from two of T's sons that cross lines most people wouldn't dream of crossing, cosigns from Rick Ross, snitching allegations, attacks on his dead mother, his ex-girlfriend's domestic violence claims weaponized against him. By any measure, that's an assault. A sustained, multi-week, multi-generational assault on his character, his legacy, and his personal history. And 50 Cent took every single one of those hits and failed to respond with music and failed to respond with aggression and failed to respond with anything that hip-hop traditionally recognizes as a rebuttal and failed to do a single thing that the culture expected of him. 4 failures by the old standard. 4 consecutive LS in the traditional rap beef framework. But here's the thing. And I said this at the beginning, and I'll say it again now because it hits different at the end. 50 Cent doesn't fight you where you want to fight. He fights you where you can't defend yourself. T.I. wanted a rap battle. 50 gave him silence and a documentary scare. The Harris kids wanted a street-level confrontation on wax. 50 gave them Instagram memes and a deleted post that generated more headlines than all 4 diss tracks combined. Where is the plan from the Harris family? Where is the counter-strategy? Where is the acknowledgement that they are beefing with a man who just produced the second most watched documentary on Netflix's entire platform and has the infrastructure to do it again at the snap of his fingers? Where is any of it?